At some point in your business, you've probably lost a job to someone you know isn't as good as you. Maybe you saw their work and you sat there thinking, how did they get that? And I didn't. How did they go with them and not me? And if you're being really honest with yourself, there's a little voice that says, maybe I just need to get better. Maybe if I sharpen my skills a little bit more, do more impressive work, build a better portfolio, then they're going to choose me. And I hear this all the time from people. But here's the thing, that's not what is actually happening. And the sooner you understand what's really going on inside of a client's head when they're choosing who to hire, the sooner you're going to be getting bookings. Because buying is all about psychology, right? Clients don't hire who's most talented, they hire who feels less risky. And competing on skill alone is the wrong game. You need to make them feel seen, heard, and cared for. Think about the last time you made a big decision. Not a small purchase, like truly a big one that makes an impact on your life, one that the outcome actually mattered to you. When the stakes are high, people don't optimize for the best option. They optimize for the safest one because we're all trying to guard ourselves all the time and make sure that we are safe. It's a primal instinct of ours. We all have it. And hiring a service provider is a high stakes decision for most people. A lot of times they haven't spent a lot of money themselves before, or they don't know how to invest. And even those that are used to it, the client is spending real money here, right? Like, this is risky for them. They're trusting someone they don't really know with something that matters tremendously to either their business, their livelihood, their memories, whatever it may be. So, what do people do when the stakes are that high and they're not sure? They don't look for the most impressive option. It does help, don't get me wrong, but they look for the one that feels the safest, the one that's going to reduce the chance of something going wrong. That's the real game here. And I don't even like using the phrase game, but it's true. And if you don't understand it, you keep showing up to compete on talent alone, the other person is actually quietly winning on something else entirely. Because here's what's actually happening in a client's head when they're choosing who to hire. They're not thinking, ooh, imagine how good this could turn out, as much as we want them to think that, right? They're thinking, what if this goes wrong? What if I pay a lot of money and it doesn't deliver? What if this person disappears halfway through? What if I can't trust them to communicate with me? The fear of a bad outcome is louder than the excitement of a great one every single time. I can't stress it enough. And this is where it gets honestly kind of counterintuitive. The person with the more impressive portfolio isn't automatically the safer choice in a client's mind. Again, it does help, but impressive can also mean unpredictable. Impressive can mean hard to work with. Impressive can mean, do they even need my small project? The person who feels safe is the one who makes the client think, I know exactly what I'm getting. I know they're going to show up, and I know this won't blow up in my face. It is a good investment. And that feeling, that's what closes projects. It's what gets contracts signed. Not being the most talented person in the room, but being the best person in the room. So, what actually makes you feel safe to a prospect? Because I think this is where a lot of service businesses get it wrong, in my opinion. They focus all their energy on showcasing skill when what they should be doing is reducing perceived risk. The number one thing people will notice about risk is responsiveness. I know that it sounds simple, but the speed and quality of your communication during the sales process or any part of the process is the single biggest preview a client gets of what working with you will be like. If you take 4 days to respond to an inquiry, they're already doing math in their head. They're already thinking, what happens when I have a question mid-project and they do this? Clarity is one of the most important pieces of it all. When you can articulate your process clearly, here's how I work, here's what you can expect from me, here's what we need from you, and when it removes all the questions, all the ambiguity. And that's risk, right? When a client doesn't know what's coming, they fill in the blanks with their worst fears. I mean, we all do it. We all have this idea in our head of what could go wrong. But what you can do is you can show social proof. And I want to be specific about this. I'm not just talking about testimonials, I'm talking about testimonials that speak to what it's like to work with you. Not just great results, I got what I wanted, but they were so communicative, or they made the whole process easy, or I knew exactly where things stood at every point. That's the kind of social proof that signals safety, a clear process. When you can hand someone a document, a proposal, or even just a clear verbal walkthrough of how you move through a project, it tells them you've done this before and you know what you're doing. It tells them you're not figuring it out as you go. And that's incredibly reassuring. People just want to know that they are safe. I can't say it enough. And honestly, just the feeling of certainty, the feeling that if something does go sideways, you're going to be the kind of person who handles it, that you communicate when things are hard, just when things are good. That feeling comes through in every touch point you have with a prospect before they ever sign anything. Every little word you use matters. Every little touch point matters. Like the little things matter to people because they're constantly, whether they realize it or not, they're looking for red flags. They're looking for concerns. So here's a practical piece though. How do you actually make this shift? The first thing I would do is look at your inquiry process. What happens the moment someone reaches out to you? How quickly do you respond? What do they hear back? Is it clear? Is it warm? Is it organized? Or is it vague and slow and confusing? Because that first touch point is setting the tone. The second thing is your proposal or your pitch or the call that you get on, right? Walk through it and ask yourself, does this feel like I'm showing off my work or does it feel like I'm removing their uncertainty? Those are two very different things. Great work doesn't automatically equal low risk in their mind. Third is your testimonials and your case studies. Pull them out and look at the language people are using. Are they talking about what it felt like to work with you? Are they talking about the experience, the communication, the process? Or is it all about the deliverable? Because the deliverable is great, but it's not the experience. And the experience is what they're trying to buy from you. And the last one, the one most people completely overlook, is the process itself. So I'd encourage you to write it down, actually write out the phases of how you work with a client from first call to final delivery, and then figure out where you can share that with the prospects, right? Because the moment someone can see the roadmap, they feel less like they're jumping into something unknown. Don't give them 1,000 steps. Just give them like a simple 3 to 5 step formula of what this looks like. But here's what I want to land with. You don't need to be better. You need to be less scary to hire. It's true. People might be scared to hire you. And I know that might be a little frustrating to hear, especially if you've been grinding away, trying to improve your craft, and you're so proud of what you're doing because you're leveling up your skills, you're spending money on the things that help your skills. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter. But if you're showing up to every pitch with the most impressive work in the room and you're still losing jobs to people you know aren't as good, that's the signal for you. That's telling you that the skill isn't the gap. The trust is the gap for you. And the reality is, trust is actually something you have a lot of control over, more control than you might think. It's how clearly you communicate. It's the way you walk someone through your process. It's in the words your past clients use when they talk about working with you. Clients are trying to protect themselves. That's it. That's the whole decision. Like, they are truly looking out for themselves. They don't actually care about your business. I hate to say it. And once you understand that, you stop trying to impress them and you start trying to reassure them. And when you do that well, the decision becomes pretty easy for them. You're not just the most talented option because you've already worked on that, but you're the obvious one. And if this hits home for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What's one thing you're going to look at differently in the way that you're showing up for prospects. And if you want more of this kind of content, it's truly just supposed to be honest, practical stuff about building a service based business or a small business without it being harder than it needs to be. Subscribe to the channel. We're building something good over here, just built on I wish I had this when I was starting. So, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And remember to enjoy the journey, my friend.